Chapter 9. Blood recognition. No one spoke. Because there was nothing left to hide behind. The chamber knew. The mark knew. Emma knew. And now so did I. The silence didn't feel empty. It felt aligned. Like something had finally clicked into place. I hated that feeling. Emma was still staring at me. Not like before. Not like someone trying to understand. Like someone who already did. "That's not possible," she said again. But her voice didn't believe it anymore. Neither did mine. The mark pulsed. Not sharp. Not violent. Deep. And this time, Emma gasped. Same moment. Same rhythm. I felt it. Inside my chest. Not my wrist. Inside. Like something had moved one layer closer to the surface. Emma's hand pressed against her sternum. Mine followed instinctively. Same place. Lily saw it. Her face changed instantly. "Don't," she said. Too late. The connection snapped into focus. Not gradual. Violent. The chamber vanished, and I was somewhere else. Rain. Again. But clearer. Closer. Not watching. Inside it. My hands. Younger. Clean. Holding something small. Warm. Alive. A child. Her. Emma. But not Emma as I knew her. Smaller. Quieter. Not yet aware. Behind me, voices. Urgent. Controlled. It's stabilizing. No, it shouldn't. If he leaves now, then my voice. Not the one I use now. Stronger. Colder. If it lives, it becomes a variable. Silence. Then another voice. Familiar. Lily. You don't get to decide that. I turned. In the memory, she was younger. Less controlled. More human. Standing between me and the circle. "She's not part of your system," she said. "She is now," I answered. God, I said that. I felt it. The weight of it. The truth of it. The memory didn't stop. I stepped forward. Lily didn't move. That was the moment everything changed. "You walk away now," she said quietly. "And I will break this before it ever finishes." My younger self smiled. Not kind. Not hesitant. Certain. "You won't," I said. And for a second, I believed it. That I knew her. That I understood what she would do. I was wrong. The memory shattered. I was back in the chamber. On my feet, but barely. Emma collapsed to her knees at the same time. Breathing hard. "No," she whispered. Lily moved instantly. Emma pulled away. Not violently, but clearly. "Don't touch me," she said. Not angry. Broken. I didn't move. Didn't reach for her. Didn't speak. Because now, I understood something worse than guilt. She wasn't just something I left behind. She was something I chose to leave behind. That difference mattered. Vale watched all of it. Every second. Every reaction. And when he spoke, his voice was quieter than before. "Now you see it," he said. I looked at him. "You were never supposed to leave with both pieces intact." Emma shook her head. No, but her voice had changed. Less denial. More fear. "You're lying." Vale didn't even look at her. "No," he said. Then, to me, "You initiated the split." The mark burned. Emma cried out. Same pain. Shared. Lily stepped forward. This time she didn't stop. "That's enough," she said sharply. But Vale continued. "You wanted power without consequence," he said. My jaw tightened. "You wanted control without dependency." The chamber pulsed. "So you forced a separation." My chest tightened. "What separation?" Lily demanded. Vale finally looked at her. "Function," he said. Then pointed at me. "Bearer." Then at Emma. "Lock." The words landed like a system rebooting. Everything rearranged. Every moment. Every instinct. Every reaction. Suddenly, it made sense. Why the chamber responded to me. Why it answered her. Why neither of us alone was enough. Emma's voice came out small. "What does that mean?" Vale answered. "It means he opens the system. A beat. You decide what happens after." Silence. Thick. Final. Lily shook her head slowly. No, Vale didn't argue. He didn't need to. The chamber agreed with him. The cracks pulsed again. Stronger. The thing beneath moved. Closer. Hungry. "Then why am I still here?" Emma asked. That question, that one, cut deeper than anything else. Vale answered without hesitation. "Because you were never meant to die." A pause. "You were meant to choose." Emma stared at him. At me. At the chamber. Then back at me. And for the first time, I saw it. Not fear. Not confusion. Decision. "You don't get to decide for me," she said. Not to Vale. To me. That landed harder than anything else tonight. Because she was right. Again. The mark pulsed. Emma steadied. Not resisting anymore. Adapting. That scared me more than anything else. Because I had seen that before. In myself. No, I said quietly. Everyone looked at me. I stepped forward, not toward the chamber, toward Emma. Slow. Careful. I don't decide. For you? I said. The mark reacted. So did she. But this time, we didn't break. We held. Barely. But I don't let them decide either. The chamber trembled. The system hesitated. That was new. That was important. Bill saw it too. His eyes narrowed. Careful, he said. Why? I asked. Because that's not how this was designed to work. Good. I smiled. Then said the one thing I should have said years ago. Then maybe the design was wrong. The chamber reacted. Violently. The cracks surged. The thing beneath roared, not in anger, in recognition. Because something had changed. Not the system. The choice. And for the first time, it wasn't following the rules. It was rewriting them. Emma stepped beside me. Not behind. Not protected. Equal. And that terrified everything in the room. Yindi Chapter 9 Chapter 10. The system pushes back. The chamber didn't like being questioned. I felt it immediately. Not as sound. Not as movement. As resistance. Like the entire space had just decided we didn't belong in it anymore. The cracks in the floor pulsed again. Harder. The dark current beneath them surged upward. Not forming. Not shaping. Flooding. Emma staggered. This time, not from pain. From pull. She grabbed my arm. Not to steady herself. To anchor. It's choosing again, she said. No, I replied. I looked at the chamber. It's panicking. That was new. Vale moved. Fast. Not toward us. Toward the circle. Stop talking, he snapped. Do something useful. That tone, control slipping. Good. Like what? I asked. Stabilize it. I almost laughed. You just said it split. Yes, he said. And if it splits again, he didn't finish. He didn't need to. The chamber answered for him. The floor dropped. Not entirely. Just enough. The cracks widened into fractures. Whole sections of the circle began to sink. Slow. Grinding. Revealing something beneath. Not empty. Never empty. Movement. More of it now. Faster. Hungry. The thing under the river was rising. Lily grabbed Emma and pulled her back. Move. We did. Just as the section where we had been standing collapsed inward, and something reached up through it. This time, I saw it clearly. Not a creature. Not a body. A structure. Jointed. Segmented. Like something that had been built, then abandoned, then remembered wrong. It twisted toward us. Not seeing. Knowing. That's not supposed to be out yet. Vale said. I glanced at him. You say that a lot. His eyes snapped to mine. This is not a joke. Neither am I. The thing lunged. Too fast. Lily shoved Emma sideways. I stepped in, knife up, and for a split second, I knew exactly where to strike. Not instinct. Memory. The blade connected, not with flesh, with a seam. The thing recoiled instantly. Not pain. Recognition. It remembered me. That was worse. Emma cried out. The mark exploded. I felt it through her. She felt it through me. Feedback. Violent. Wrong. We both dropped. The chamber surged. The fractures spread wider. More of them emerged. Not identical, variations. Attempts. Failures. Each one reaching. Each one incomplete. They're not entities, Vale said sharply. They're iterations. That word hit something. What kind of iterations? Lily demanded. Vale didn't answer. Because Daniel did. Us, he said. Silence. Even in chaos, that word cut through everything. I looked at the things crawling out of the broken floor. The way they moved. Wrong. But familiar. Too familiar. They're failed bearers, Daniel continued. Or failed locks. Emma froze. No, she whispered. But the chamber didn't care. It kept bringing them up. Layer after layer. Proof. History. Mistakes that had never been buried properly. The system wasn't broken. It was full. Vale stepped closer to us now. Not hostile. Not allied. Urgent. You need to sink, he said. No, Lily snapped. Yes, he replied. If they don't, the chamber resolves through force. What does that mean? I asked. Vale didn't look away from the rising things. It picks one. Emma shook her head. No, and consumes the other. That landed. Hard. Final. Emma stepped back. Again. But this time I followed. Not chasing. Matching. Look at me, I said. She didn't want to. Of course she didn't. Emma. Slowly she did. Her eyes. Not stable anymore. Something moving behind them. Not fully hers. Not fully anything. We don't let it choose, I said. Her voice shook. How? Good question. I didn't have a good answer. So I gave her the only honest one. We choose first. The chamber reacted instantly. The fractures surged, violently, like it understood the threat. Because it was one. Emma stepped closer. Not afraid. Not calm. Resolved. Then don't let go, she said. She reached out. This time, I didn't hesitate. Our hands met. The world broke. Not visually. Internally. The connection wasn't partial anymore. It was complete. Memory slammed into place. Not just mine. Ours. Fragments. Dozens. Hundreds. Iterations. Attempts. Failures. All of them leading to this. The first ritual. The first interruption. The first split. And beneath all of it, one truth. We were never meant to exist like this. We made ourselves. The chamber screamed. The things rising from the floor recoiled. Not defeated, confused. Good. Let it be confused. That meant it wasn't in control. Vale watched. Not interfering. Calculating. Of course. Always calculating. Lily didn't move. Didn't interrupt. Didn't stop us. That meant everything. Because Lily only lets things happen when stopping them would be worse. The connection stabilized, barely, but enough. The mark stopped burning. Emma steadied. The chamber paused. Then, everything surged back harder. Because now, it knew what we were doing. And it wasn't going to let it happen twice. Yindi Chapter 10 Chapter 11. The original design, when we touched, it didn't feel like connection. It felt like collapse. Not of the chamber. Of distance. Between memory and truth. Between what I thought happened and what actually did. The world didn't disappear this time. It rewrote itself. Layer by layer. Rain. Always rain. But now, I wasn't stepping into it. I was already there. Standing. At the center of the circle. Whole. Unbroken. Before everything went wrong. Before Emma. Before the split. Before regret. The chamber was new. Cleaner. The lines precise. The structure intact. Not damaged. Not corrupted. Perfect. That was the first lie. Voices surrounded me. Not panicked. Not uncertain. Confident. Believing. You're ready, someone said. Daniel. Younger. Less tired. Still pretending this was control. You understand what this does? He continued. I understand what it removes, I said. My voice cold. Certain. Too certain. And what it leaves behind? Lily asked. She stood outside the circle. Already opposing me. Already seeing something I refused to. Nothing that matters, I answered. That sentence echoed. Not in the room. In me. Like something hearing it for the first time and hating it. Lily stepped forward. You don't know that. I don't need to, I said. Wrong. I needed to. I just didn't want to. Because wanting control is easy. Understanding cost is not. Daniel spoke again. If the transfer completes, you won't just survive. A pause. You'll anchor the system. There it was. The truth. Not power. Function. I wasn't trying to become stronger. I was trying to become necessary. And necessary things don't get removed. That was the real reason. Not fear. Not survival. Control. Over being erased. The memory sharpened. The circle activated. Light. White. Blinding. The structure aligned. Everything working too well. Then, movement. Something on the table. Small. Breathing. I turned. And saw her. Not Emma. Not yet. But close enough. The system had prepared a vessel. Not chosen. Not born for this. Placed. That was the second lie. Lily moved instantly. No. That word. The same one she used tonight. The same refusal. The same defiance. She stepped into the circle. Between me and the child. You don't get to use her, she said. My younger self looked at her. Not angry. Worse. Unmoved. She's part of the structure, I said. She's a person, Lily snapped. Not for long. God, I said that too. I felt it now. Not as memory. As consequence. The circle intensified. The system aligning, ready to complete. Daniel hesitated. Just for a second. That second was everything. Because Lily saw it. And acted. She broke the circle. Not cleanly. Not perfectly. But enough. The structure destabilized. The transfer interrupted. And that's when it happened. Not planned. Not designed. Created. By mistake. Or choice. Or both. The split. The system tried to correct itself. To stabilize. To preserve function. So it did the only thing it could. It divided. Not power. Purpose. Half into me. Half into her. The mark burned into my skin. The child screamed. And something inside her answered. That was the moment Emma became Emma. Not before. Not naturally. But because of me. The memory fractured, but didn't break. Because there was more. Always more. I saw myself. After. Standing in the rain. Holding her. Alive. Impossible. Lily bleeding behind me. The chamber collapsing. Daniel shouting something I didn't hear. And me, looking down at her. Really looking. For the first time. Understanding what I had done. What I had created. What I couldn't control anymore. That was the moment. Not the ritual. Not the power. That moment. The real break. I made a choice. Not to fix it. Not to undo it. To leave. To walk away, before I had to decide what she meant. That was the truth. Not sacrifice. Not survival. Cowardice. The memory collapsed. And I was back. In the chamber. Under. The river. Breathing hard. Emma was still holding my hand. Barely. But still. She had seen it too. All of it. Every word. Every choice. Every lie. Her voice came out quiet. You knew. Not accusation. Worse. Confirmation. I didn't answer. Because I couldn't lie anymore. Yes. The chamber reacted. Violently. The system didn't like truth. It preferred structure. Emma let go. Not abruptly. Deliberately. That hurt more than anything else tonight. You left, she said. I nodded. Yes. Why? That question, simple. Impossible. I looked at her. At what she had become. At what I had made her into. And said the only honest thing left. Because I didn't know how to stay. Silence. Heavy. Final. Lily closed her eyes. Not in judgment. In recognition. She had known. Not all of it. Enough. Vale watched quietly. No smugness. No satisfaction. Just understanding. Because he had seen this before. In another version. In another outcome. The system didn't fail, he said. It adapted. I looked at him. No, I said. It broke. Emma spoke. No, she said. We both looked at her. Her voice, steady now. Stronger. It became something else. That landed. Different. Dangerous. Because she wasn't rejecting it. She was redefining it. The chamber pulsed. Not violently. Responding. Listening. Adapting. Again. That was the real problem. Not the system. Its ability to evolve. And now, so could we. Or we could be consumed by it. Same as before. Same choice. Only now we understood it. That made it worse. And better. At the same time. I looked at Emma. Not as a system. Not as a consequence. As a person. For the first time, correctly. We ended. I said. She didn't answer immediately. Because she finally had the right to choose. And choice takes time. Even now. Especially now. The chamber waited. So did I. So did everything. Because for the first time, this wasn't about what the system wanted. It was about what we did next. Yindi Chapter 11 Chapter 12. The second interruption, the chamber didn't move. It waited. Not like before. Not hungry. Not violent. Patient. That was worse. Because violence is reaction. Patience is intention. Emma stood across from me. Not behind Lily anymore. Not beside me. Separate. That distance was new. And I understood it immediately. She wasn't deciding what to do. She was deciding who she was. Don't rush her. Lily said quietly. I didn't answer. I wasn't going to. Because this wasn't mine anymore. That was the point. Vale stepped forward slightly. Time is not neutral here, he said. I know, I replied. No, he said. His voice sharpened. You don't. The chamber reacted. Subtle, but immediate. The cracks pulsed, and the thing beneath them shifted again. Not rising. Reforming. The failed versions, the iterations, were pulling back together. Reassembling. Adapting. Of course they were. That's the correction process, Vale said. Lily frowned. Correction of what? Vale didn't look at her. Deviation. He looked at me. At you. That landed. Harder than anything else. Emma spoke. Then stop it. Simple. Too simple. Vale shook his head. You can't stop a system by standing inside it. I stepped forward. Then tell me how. He didn't answer. That was when I knew. You don't want to stop it, I said. Vale's expression didn't change. No, he said. There it was. Clean. Honest. Dangerous. I wanted to complete. The chamber reacted immediately. Not violently. In approval. The cracks aligned. The dark current stabilized. The thing beneath paused. Listening. Of course it was. Because Vale wasn't opposing it. He was part of it. Lily moved between us instantly. I knew it, she said. Vale sighed softly. You suspected, he corrected. Now you know. Emma looked at him. Why, she asked. Not fear. Understanding. That was worse. Vale answered her. Because incomplete systems don't die, he said. They rot. A pause. And rot spreads. I stepped forward. So your solution is to finish it? Yes. With her? I asked. With both of you. Silence. Then, everything snapped into place. You don't care who survives? I said. Vale tilted his head slightly. I care that something stable does. That was it. That was his truth. Not evil. Worse. Logical. Emma shook her head slowly. No, Vale's eyes softened. You don't understand yet. I do, she said. And for the first time, she sounded like me. You're afraid. That hit him. Not visibly. But enough. I'm not afraid, he said. You are, she replied. Of what happens if we don't follow the design. The chamber pulsed. Again. Stronger. Because it recognized the argument. It had heard it before. Long ago. In another version. Lily whispered. It's happening again. Of course it was. Everything in this place repeated. That was the whole problem. Vale stepped closer. Emma, he said. Choose. The word hit like a command. The chamber reacted. The cracks surged. The system demanded. Emma closed her eyes. Not in fear. In thought. That was new. That was dangerous. Because thinking breaks patterns. I didn't move. Didn't speak. Didn't interfere. Because I had already done that once. And look what it created. The chamber began to shift again. The failed iterations rose. Not attacking. Surrounding. A circle forming around Emma. Not me. Her. Because now, she was the decision point. Vale watched closely. Let it guide you, he said. Lily snapped. Don't listen to him. Emma opened her eyes. Looked at both of them. Then at me. That moment was everything. Because she wasn't asking. She was checking. Not what I would choose. Who I was now. I held her gaze. Didn't look away. Didn't pretend. Didn't hide. And said nothing. Because this time, it wasn't mine to decide. That was the difference. That was the break. Emma nodded slightly. Decision made. I won't finish it, she said. The chamber reacted instantly. Violently. The cracks exploded outward. The thing beneath surged, angry now. Unstable. Denied. Vale's expression hardened. You don't get to refuse, he said. Emma stepped forward. Into the broken center. I do. The chamber screamed. Everything moved. The iterations lunged. Not at me. At her. Lily reacted instantly. Intercepted one. Then another. But there were too many. I moved. Not thinking. Not planning. Just choosing. I stepped into the circle. Again. This time with her. The mark exploded. The connection surged, stronger than before. Not forced. Chosen. That changed everything. The chamber froze. Just for a second. Because this was new. Not interruption. Alignment. Emma looked at me. Not afraid. Not unsure. Certain. Now, she said. I understood. Without needing to. We didn't break the system. We didn't follow it. We changed the condition. At the same time, we let go. Not physically. Structurally. The link. Released. Not severed. Redefined. The chamber collapsed inward. The iteration screamed. Not dying. Failing. Vale stepped forward. Too late. What did you do? He demanded. Emma answered. We removed the choice. Silence. Heavy. Impossible. Vale stared at her. Then at me. Then at the chamber. Now unstable. Unresolved. Alive, but without direction. That's not possible, he said. I almost smiled. It wasn't supposed to be. The chamber pulsed. Wrong. Broken. Free. And for the first time, the system didn't know what to do. That was the real interruption. Not the first. Not the second. The one that mattered. Vale looked at us. And for the first time, he didn't look in control. He looked afraid. Yini Chapter 12, Chapter 13. Unstable system. The chamber didn't explode. That would have been cleaner. It failed in layers. First the flames went out. Not all at once. One by one. Like someone moving through the alcoves, pinching them dead between invisible fingers. Blue light collapsed into smoke. Smoke collapsed into dark. And the dark didn't stay where it belonged. The cracks in the chamber floor widened again. Not with force. With hunger. The broken geometry began to spread outward from the center in thin, branching lines, racing along the concrete like veins discovering blood. The whole room was rewriting itself. Not finished. Not stable. Trying anyway. Move, Lily said. This time nobody argued. Emma was still in the circle. Not frozen. Listening. Her head tilted slightly, like she could hear instructions the rest of us were too human to catch. That scared me more than the chamber. I stepped toward her. Emma. She looked up. Too slow. Too far away. Vale moved first. Of course he did. Not toward the exit. Toward her. Don't, I said. He ignored me. Also, of course. He crossed the outer edge of the broken circle with the confidence of a man who'd spent too many years surviving systems and started mistaking that for ownership. His hand came up. Not to hurt her. To take her. That was enough. I hit him before he reached her. Not cleanly. Not elegantly. Pain tore through my ribs the second I committed to the movement. But there are moments when the body becomes an expense and you pay it later. My shoulder slammed into his chest. We went down hard on the fractured concrete, skidding across one of the dark channels just as it split wider beneath us. Vale rolled fast. Too fast. He'd done this before. Not with me. With men like me. He came up on one knee, drove the heel of his hand toward my throat, and I barely turned in time to take it on the side of the jaw instead. White pain. Flash. Then focus again. You're wasting time, he snapped. Good. I drove the remembering knife toward his side. He caught my wrist. That was new. Not the catch. The strength. He wasn't stronger than me. He was more prepared for what I used to be. That difference mattered. Behind us, Lily reached Emma. I heard her voice through the fight. Low. Controlled. Urgent. Stay with me. Emma answered, but the chamber swallowed half the words. The part one caught chilled me anyway. Not just here. The floor dropped another inch. Then another. Concrete screamed under the pressure of the river above us. One of the support beams at the far wall bent with a deep metallic groan that went through the chamber like a warning too old to still matter. The dark current in the cracks surged outward, away from the broken circle. Toward the tunnel. Toward the city. Daniel saw it too. The channels are opening, he said. No one thanked him for the observation. What does that mean? Lily called. Daniel looked like a man who had run out of lies and found that truth was somehow more exhausting. It means the chamber is no longer containing the pattern. He swallowed once. It's exporting it. That phrase landed in the room like a bomb with paperwork attached. The first siren sounded above us. Faint. Distant. Real. Then another. The city was beginning to notice. Not understand. Notice. That's how it always starts. Vale shoved me off hard enough to reopen something along my side. Warmth spread under my coat. Blood. Expected. He rose, breathing harder now, one hand at his ribs where the knife had almost gone in. Not enough. I got up too. Slower. Not enough. The chamber dipped again. A chunk of concrete dropped from the ceiling and shattered where Vale had been standing half a second earlier. He barely moved. Just enough. Efficient. I hated efficient men. They remind you how much damage can be done without ever raising the voice. You think this ends if she leaves? He said. No, I replied. A breath. I think you do. That hit. Not visibly, but I felt it land. His control thinned by a degree. That was all I got. The floor behind Lily split open. One of the failed iterations pulled itself up through the break. Not fully formed, not structurally sound, but closer than the others had been. Its limbs were wrong. Too many joints in some places. None in others. Its face, I looked at it once and knew I shouldn't look again. Not because it was monstrous, because it was familiar in pieces. A failed attempt at a human being. A draft that resented revision. It dragged itself toward Emma. Not Lily. Not me. Emma. I moved. So did Daniel. That surprised me. He got there first, not because he was faster, but because he'd started moving before the rest of us accepted what we were seeing. He drove something metallic into the iteration's shoulder joint. One of the old silver instruments, smaller than the remembering knife, but built from the same idea. The thing convulsed. Didn't scream. Just came apart in a wet collapse of limbs and structure, as if the chamber had briefly forgotten how to keep it assembled. Daniel stepped back, breathing hard. Don't let them touch her. I stared at him. You couldn't have mentioned that earlier? He looked at me with open disgust. At what point exactly? Fair. I let it go. For the moment. Emma had both hands pressed to her temples now. Her breathing was shallow and fast. Not panic. Overload. The difference is smaller than people think. Lily crouched in front of her. Look at me. Emma tried. Failed once. Tried again. Good. Still in there. The chamber shuddered violently. Then the first real consequence hit. Not below us. Above. A deep, Rolling crack moved through the ceiling and the walls together. Not loud, but enormous. Stone and pressure, and old infrastructure choosing a new shape. Water burst through one of the far seams in a white, hard jet. Then another. Then a third. The chamber had stopped being a room. It was becoming a leak. A breach. A mouth. Out, Lily said. This time her voice broke. Not from fear. From speed. No one argued. We ran for the tunnel. The tunnel had changed. Of course it had. The symbols along the walls were lit now. Not bright, not firelit, but breathing with a deep submerged glow that made the concrete look thinner than it should. The passage felt longer. The air felt narrower. The sound of the river pressed from every side. And under that, something else. Voices. Not actual voices. Patterns trying to become language and failing on purpose. Emma stumbled. I caught her. The moment my hand touched her arm, the connection surged again. Not full memory this time. Not collapse. Just fragments. The city above. Us. Street grids. Subway lines. Power relays. Water mains. Every buried system under the city lighting up in the same geometry as the chamber floor. The original design wasn't under the city. The city had been built over it. I let go. Too late. The vision stayed. What did you see? Emma asked. Enough, I said. Then, because she deserved more than that now. It's spreading. Lily heard. Her face hardened instantly. Where? Everywhere the old channels still connect. Vale, running half a step behind us, answered for me. Transit. Utilities. Foundations. Government blocks. The original anchors. He glanced at Emma. If the pattern reaches the surface unresolved, the whole city starts recognizing the split. Daniel, from farther back in the tunnel. And once recognition starts, correction follows. I looked over my shoulder. What does correction look like in a city? No one answered immediately. That was never a good sign. Then Vale said, with terrible calm, failures rise. That was enough information. Too much, really. The tunnel bucked under us. Not metaphor. The concrete flexed. The walls groaned inward. The glow and the symbols surged and then raced ahead of us like current finding easier ground. One of the sealed doors along the passage split down the center. A hand pushed through. Human-looking. Almost. Lily fired the silver instrument without slowing. It struck the wrist, and the hand snapped back as if the door itself had bitten it. We kept moving. The tunnel gave way into the final access corridor. The wall seam ahead, the hidden entrance by the river, was already standing open. Rain light showed through. City sound. Distant engines. Sirens louder now. Helicopter blades somewhere far above the water. The normal world waiting at the threshold like it had any idea what it was about to inherit. We burst out onto the embankment just as the chamber below us gave a long, subsonic shudder. The ground under the service road rolled. Not an earthquake. Too local. Too deliberate. The river's surface buckled once in the middle, as if something beneath it had turned over in its sleep. Then the first streetlight across the water went out. Not burned out. Recognized. A second later, every light along that block died with it. One row. Then the next. Darkness spread through the district in clean geometric lines. Not random blackout. Pattern. Oh God, Lily said. No, Vale replied, staring at the city. Not that. I almost hit him for the tone alone. Then I saw what he was seeing. Windows on the far side of the river. Dozens of them. 100 maybe. Going dark and then relighting from within. Not white. Not electric. That same submerged glow from the tunnel walls. As if the buildings themselves had started remembering something buried under their foundations. Sirens multiplied. Cars stopped on the bridge upstream, brakes flaring red in the rain-slick night. A bus jackknifed at the intersection near the old customs building, not from impact, but because the asphalt beneath its front axle dropped 3 inches and revealed one thin black line that hadn't been there a second before. Pedestrians started running. Good instinct. Pointless, but good. Emma was staring at the city like she could hear every one of those lights turning. Her face had gone blank in the worst possible way. Not numb. Processing too much. I touched her shoulder carefully. Emma. She blinked once. Came back. Barely. What's it doing? I asked. She looked out over the river. At first, she said. Her voice was very small. Connecting. A pause. Then choosing. Behind us, the entrance seam in the embankment began to close on its own. Stone over dark. like the city was swallowing the evidence now that it had accepted the infection. Daniel saw it too. "We don't go back down there," he said. Vale laughed once. Short, humorless, exhausted. "There won't be a down there much longer." I turned on him. "Then start being useful on purpose." He met my eyes. Rain ran down his face, caught in the scar at his throat, and for the first time since he entered the chamber, he looked less like a rival and more like what he actually was. A man who had spent too long surviving a machine and mistaken endurance for wisdom. "If the pattern reaches enough upper anchors," he said, "the city begins treating people as structure." Lily stared at him. "What does that mean?" He looked past her to the bridge, where shapes were beginning to gather at the stalled cars. Too still. Too coordinated. Not commuters. Not yet anything I wanted to name. "It means," Vale said, "identity becomes negotiable." That phrase did not improve with reflection. A scream carried over the water. Then another. On the far bank, a man stumbled out of a convenience store, clutching his own face with both hands as though trying to keep it on. The glow behind the windows brightened. Other figures moved behind the glass in ways no one should move unless their bones had started answering to a different architecture. The city was not descending into chaos. That would have been merciful. It was being reformatted. Emma made a sound. Small. Broken. I turned. She was staring at the bridge. Not at the lights. At someone there. A woman with a child in her arms, trapped between stopped cars, looking wildly in every direction for a way through. The child was crying. The woman wasn't moving, because the road under her feet had begun to mark itself in black lines. One careful branch at a time. Climbing. "Don't," Lily said. Emma didn't hear her, or heard, and chose otherwise. Before any of us could stop her, she stepped toward the river rail and lifted one hand. No gesture, no ritual, just instinct. The lights on the nearest block flared bright enough to turn the rain white. Every black line on the bridge froze. All at once, the woman grabbed the child and ran. So did everyone else within sight of her. The stalled cars began colliding in panic as drivers tried to reverse out of lanes that no longer made sense. Horns, shattered glass, engines. The sound of a city discovering that streets can become decisions. Emma swayed. Hard. I got to her in time to keep her upright. Her skin was cold. Too cold. "What did you do?" I asked. She looked at me with unfocused eyes. Asked it to wait. That should not have been possible. Which meant it had worked. Which meant it knew her. Which meant things were worse than I'd estimated. Bill had seen it too. Of course he had. His face changed in a way I didn't like at all. Not greed. Not triumph. Validation. Like a theory he had lived with for years had just put a hand on his shoulder and called him by his real name. "No," Lily said, reading him instantly. Whatever thought had crossed his face, she had gotten there first. No, Vale looked at her. At Emma in my arms. At the spreading geometry in the city. Then back at Lily. "You know what this means." Lily's voice came out low and lethal. "I know what you're about to suggest." Daniel moved closer. Not between them. Near enough to matter. Too late, probably, but I noticed it anyway. "What?" I asked. No one answered. So I asked again. "What?" This time it was Emma. Barely audible. "If I can talk to it," she said, "I can hold it." I felt my entire body go still around that sentence. Not because of what it meant. Because of how quickly everyone else understood it. Lily. Vale. Daniel. All of them. This wasn't a new thought. It was an old nightmare with better timing. "No," I said. Emma didn't argue. Didn't defend it. Didn't say she wanted to. She only looked back at the city, where more lights were changing, more streets were marking, more people were starting to run in patterns they did not yet understand. "I know," she whispered. A pause. "But it's already listening." And out across the river, one whole district of the city turned its lights toward us. Not literally. Worse. Every glowing window aligned in a single impossible vector. Watching. Recognizing. Responding. For one suspended second, the city looked alive. Not metaphorically. Structurally. As if the chamber under the river had simply been its buried heart, and now that heart was beating in the open through concrete, traffic, light, and fear. Then somewhere downtown, deep enough to be felt through the soles of my shoes, something old and engineered began to wake beneath another part of the grid. Not here. Elsewhere. Another anchor. Another chamber. Another unfinished night coming due. Vale heard it. So did Daniel. Lily felt it in the way mothers feel storms before windows do. Emma closed her eyes, and I understood with brutal clarity that what had happened under the river was never going to stay local. The city wasn't reacting. It was answering. Yindi Chapter 13 Chapter 14. Hold the city was watching us. Not metaphor. Not paranoia. Watching. Every lit window. Every dark block. Every street that bent just slightly wrong, aligned. Toward the river. Toward us. Toward her. Emma stood at the railing. Still. Too still. Like she had already stepped somewhere the rest of us hadn't caught up to yet. Emma, I said. She didn't turn. I can feel it, she said. Her voice, quiet. Distant. It's not spreading randomly. Lily stepped closer. What do you mean? Emma lifted one hand slightly. The lights across the river flickered. Not out. Responding. It's searching, she said. A pause. For alignment. Vale exhaled slowly. That confirms it. I didn't look at him. Confirms what? That the system is no longer trying to complete locally. Now I looked. It's scaling. That word hit harder than it should have. Because it meant this wasn't an accident. It was evolution. Emma finally turned. Her eyes, not stable, not lost. Worse, focused on too many things at once. If I don't hold it, she said, it's going to keep expanding. Lily shook her head immediately. No, Emma didn't argue. She didn't need to. The city argued for her. A building 3 blocks down the river flickered, then twisted. Not physically collapsing, but something about it shifted. Windows misaligned. Reflections bent. Like the structure had been interpreted, instead of built. A man ran out of it, stopped, then turned, walked back inside. Not controlled. Rewritten. Emma, Lily said again. Sharper this time. You don't do this. Emma looked at her. I already am. Silence. Because that was true. The connection hadn't stopped. It had expanded. Vale stepped forward. This is the only window you have, he said. I turned instantly. You don't talk. He ignored that. Of course he did. If she anchors it now, he continued, she can slow the propagation. And what does that cost? Lily snapped. Vale didn't hesitate. Everything. That word hung there. Heavy. Emma didn't look away. What does that mean? She asked. Vale met her eyes. It means you stop being a variable. A beat. You become the system. No, I said. Flat. Immediate. Final. Vale looked at me. That's already happening. I said no. This time, he didn't argue. He just watched. Waiting. Because now, it wasn't his decision. It wasn't mine. That was the whole problem. Emma stepped away from the railing. Toward us. Toward me. You said we don't let it choose, she said. I meant that. Then this is how we do it. No, too fast. Too hard. She didn't flinch. Of course she didn't. Then tell me another way, she said. I opened my mouth and stopped. Because I didn't have one. Not a real one. Not one that didn't end with her inside that system, one way or another. Lily saw it. Of course she did. Her voice softened. Not weak. Careful. We find another. Anchor, she said. That shifted everything. Vale's eyes flicked to her. Then to me. Then to Emma. Calculating. There are more, he said. Daniel spoke for the first time since the surface. Yes. We all turned. He looked older now. More tired. More honest. They didn't build just one chamber, he said. They built a network. The city pulsed. Like it agreed. Emma's head tilted slightly. I can feel them, she said. Where? I asked. She closed her eyes. Not long. Just enough. Then, there's another one, she said. Deeper. A pause. Older. Vale nodded slowly. That would be the primary anchor. Lily frowned. You mean the original? Yes. The word carried weight. Because original means worse. Emma looked at me. If I hold this here, she said, you can reach it. I felt that. Immediately. The trap in it. You don't hold anything, I said. I don't stay behind. I don't let you become that. She stepped closer. Close enough that the connection pulsed again. Not violently. Understanding. You're not stopping it, she said. You're delaying it. That hit. Because it was true. Again. I don't care, I said. She smiled slightly. Not happy. Sad. I know. Silence. Heavy. Then, the city screamed. Not sound. Structure. A wave moved through the buildings. Not visible, but felt. Every surface, every street, every hidden line, reacted. Emma staggered. Hard. This time, I caught her. She didn't push me away. Good. Because I wasn't letting go. It's accelerating, she whispered. Vale stepped closer. Urgent now. If you don't anchor it, I'm not letting her do that. I cut in. Then you lose the city. I don't care about the city. That came out wrong. Because I did. Just not like they did. Emma looked up at me. You will, she said. Then, she did something new. She reached, not for me, for the city. Her hand lifted. The lights surged. All at once. Not chaotic. Focused. Held. For a second, everything stopped. The spread. The distortion. The pull. The entire city paused. Emma gasped. Her knees buckled. I held her up. You can't do that for long, Lily said. I don't need long, Emma replied. She looked at me. Focused. Clear. Go, she said. That word hit harder than anything tonight. No, go. I'm not leaving you. You're not leaving me, she said. You're stopping it. Silence. Because now there was a path. Not a good one, but a real one. Lily stepped in. I go with him, she said. Of course she did. Daniel nodded. You'll need both perspectives. Vale didn't argue. That told me everything. Because if he wanted to stop this, he would. Instead, he stepped back. Watching. Calculating. Still playing his game. Fine. So was I? I looked at Emma. Really looked. This time, no lies. No avoidance. No running. You hold it, I said quietly. Her grip tightened slightly. I will. A beat. But don't take too long. That almost sounded like a joke. Almost. The city pulsed again. Straining. Waiting. I turned. Toward the dark streets. Toward the next anchor. Toward the real problem. And this time, I didn't hesitate. Because now, we weren't reacting. We were choosing. And that changed everything. In Chapter 14, Chapter